Good afternoon, folks. Now, this afternoon's topic B is a narrative I wrote on elder home care. Okay, we're going to discuss that for today's B, so join me, please. Enjoy. Aging does not announce itself with a single moment. It arrives gradually, like dusk, a slow dimming at the edge of a life that once felt bright and effortless. For many older adults, the home becomes the last geography of independence, a place where memory clings to every object, every hallway, every familiar creak in the floorboards. And into this landscape steps the home care nurse, the aide, the therapist, the daughter, the neighbor, each carrying a different piece of what it means to help someone remain rooted in the place they love. Home care is often described in policy language, services, supports, hours, reimbursement, but in practice, it is a deeply human story. It is the story of how people try to stay themselves. The first signs, it usually begins with something small. A father who once pruned his garden every Saturday now lets the weeds grow tall. A mother who kept meticulous calendars begins missing appointments. A spouse notices the refrigerator is full of expired food. A daughter finds unopened medication bottles tucked behind the toaster. Families hesitate. Pride and fear mingle. The older adult insists they are fine. The adult child worries but does not want to intrude. And then one day, someone says, maybe we should get a little help. That is the moment home care enters the story, not as a rescue, but as a companion to the truth. Inside the home, the story changes. Clinics see symptoms. Hospitals see crisis. Home care workers see context. They see staircases that become a mountain. They see the bruises that hint at a fall no one mentioned. They see the spouse who is truly trying, but is exhausted. They see the loneliness that no vital sign captures. They see the quiet determination of someone who wants to remain in the home where they raised children, celebrated holidays, grieved losses, lived a life. Home care reveals what aging really looks like. Not just decline, but adaptation. Not just vulnerability, but resilience. The work of witnessing. Home care workers do more than provide clinical tasks. They witness the intimate details of a person's life, the way they fold laundry, the stories they tell, the fears they hide. They become the person who notices when cognition slips, when depression creeps in, when a caregiver is burning out. They rearrange furniture to prevent falls. They call a son to explain a new medication. They sit quietly with someone who is afraid of what tomorrow might bring. They listen to stories that have never been told. In those moments, home care becomes something larger than a service. It becomes a relationship, a bridge between independence and safety, dignity and vulnerability. The tension beneath the tenderness. Yet beneath the tenderness lies a harder truth. Home care is fragile. Workforce shortages stretch agencies thin. Costs rise faster than families can absorb. Technology promises support, but often excludes those without broadband or digital literacy. Caregivers, mostly women, often unpaid, shoulder immense burdens. Policy lags behind need. Older adults have more options than ever before to remain at home, but each option carries structural challenges that make the path uneven. The desire to age in place is universal. The ability to do so is not. The final chapters. There's a moment in many home care journeys when the work shifts. The goal is no longer rehabilitation or stabilization. It becomes comfort, meaning, presence. A nurse may be the first to notice that a patient is sleeping more, eating less, withdrawing. They may be the one who gently suggests that it's time to talk about hospice. They may be the one who sits at the bedside, holding a hand, listening to a life's worth of stories. In these final chapters, home care becomes a kind of sanctuary. It allows people to remain surrounded by the objects, memories, and relationships that shaped them. It allows families to be families again, not just caregivers. It allows death to be something other than a medical event, something human, intimate, and deeply personal. What home care teaches us. Home care teaches us that aging is not a failure. It is not a burden. It is not a problem to solve. It is a natural, universal, deeply human process that one that deserves tenderness, structure, and respect. It teaches us that independence is not the absence of help. It is the presence of the right help. It teaches us that dignity is not about doing everything alone. It is about being supported in ways that honor who a person has always been. It teaches us that the home is not just a place. It is a memory, a history, a final refuge. Home care at its best ensures that aging is lived with dignity and that the last chapters of life are written with compassion. Okay, guys, here's the third piece of today's beat. Please enjoy. This one is a narrative examination of elder home care. Elder, elder home care occupies a complex intersection of personal identity, family dynamics, and health system capacity, although often framed in operational terms. Hours of service, reimbursement structures, staffing ratios, the lived experience of home based care reveals a deeper narrative about aging, autonomy, and the environments in which older adults seek to remain rooted. This essay examines elder home care through a narrative lens, illustrating how home based services illuminate the realities of aging while exposing the structural constraints that shape care delivery in the United States. Okay, guys, here's the other headline: Aging as a gradual transition. Aging rarely presents as a discrete event. Instead, it unfolds incrementally, marked by subtle changes in function, cognition, and routine. Families often first observe small devastations, neglected household tasks, missed appointments, expired food, or inconsistently taken medications. These early signs generate ambivalence. Older adults may resist acknowledging decline, while family members struggle to balance respect for autonomy with concerns about safety. The introduction of home care typically emerges from the tension, less as an emergency intervention and more as an acknowledgement of evolving needs. Home as clinical contexts. Home based care offers a vantage point un, unable or home based care offers a vantage point unavailable in clinical settings, whereas hospitals and clinics capture symptoms and acute events. Home care professionals encounter the environmental and relational contexts that shape health trajectories. They observe architectural barriers, fall risks, nutritional patterns, caregiver strain, and social isolation. These observations provide clinical insight into functional status and safety, enabling more accurate assessments of risk and capacity. Home care thus reframes aging not solely as decline but as adaptation. Older adults develop strategies to to maintain identity, independence within a within the constraint of within the constraints of changing physical and cognitive abilities. The home becomes both a site of vulnerability and a site of resilience. The role of witnessing in care delivery. Home care workers perform tasks that extend beyond clinical duties. They witness the intimate rhythms of the day of daily life, how individuals organize their space, manage routines, and narrate their histories. This proximity allows early identification of cognitive changes, depressive symptoms, caregiver burnout, and emerging safety concerns. Also facilitates trust, which is essential for shared decision making and care planning. Through these for, through these relationships, home care becomes a relational practice. It bridges the gap between independence and support, enabling older adults to remain maintain dignity while receiving necessary assistance. Structural fragility in home based care. Despite benefits, home care remains structurally fragile. workforce shortages, limit availability, and continued rising costs place significant strain on families, particularly those requiring extensive hours of support. Technology enabled care, remote monitoring, telehealth, and smart home systems offers potential solutions, but is unevenly and infrastructure gaps. Unpaid caregivers, predominantly women, continue to shoulder substantial responsibilities with limited formal supports. These systematic challenges create disparities in who can realistically age in place, although the desire to remain at home is widespread. The feasibility of doing so depends on social economic resources, geographic location, and the availability of trained personnel. Transitions to end of life care. As functional decline progresses, the goals of home care shift. The focus moves from rehabilitation or stabilization toward comfort, meaning, and presence. Home care clinicians often, often identify early signs of terminal decline and initiates conversations about hospice or palliative services. In these final stages, home care enables older adults to remain in familiar environments, surrounded by personal artifacts, relationships, and memories that hold significance. This phase underscores the role of home care in supporting not only physical needs but also emotional and existential dimensions of aging. Families frequently report that home based end of life care allows them to reclaim their roles as loved ones rather than sole caregivers. Implications of health system and policy. Narratives of home care reveal several implications for health system design. First, aging in place requires multidisciplinary supports that integrates medical, functional, and psychosocial domains. Second, equitable access to home-based services demands policy reforms addressing workforce development, reimbursement structures, and caregiver supports. Third, technology must be implemented with attention to usability and accessibility to avoid exacerbating disparities. Finally, care models should recognize the relational and contextual nature of home based care, valuing the insight that emerge only within the home environment. Elder care, elder home care offers a lens through which to understand aging as a dynamic, relational, and contextual dependent process. It is a it de- it demonstrates that independence is not defined by the absence of assistance, but the presence of support that aligns with an individual's identity. Values and environment. As health systems confront demographic shifts and rising complexity, strengthening home based care will be essential to ensuring that older adults can navigate the final chapters of life with dignity, safety, and meaning. Okay, guys, that is B for you. I'm going to take a little break. I will be back with C shortly. So for now, Gator Wellness, take care, folks.